Dr. Gary Landsberg is a veterinary behaviorist. We spoke about ways, last time we talked, about, well, what's going on right now on television, on a lot of television shows that teach you how to train a dog, presumably. And what they're showing you is to intimidate the dog. They talk about dominance, and we spoke about how dogs really don't perceive us as being dominant or not dominant over them. It's not even an issue, is it?
Not really, because they communicate with body language, they communicate with facial signals, they communicate by reading moods and expressions and tail postures. And by the way, what's your tail posture or hackles look like today?
So we're not dogs.
We're not dogs.
Saying. And they know that.
Well, they know we're not dogs.
Yeah.
They know we're not giving off the signals, so they have to read us in a different way. Now, I don't want to sit here and criticize techniques on TV when you actually see them working. So it's important to also realize that being calm, being consistent, giving signals that are clear to the dog, not raising your voice wherever possible, not letting your dog get away with things that you don't think are appropriate, making sure that your dog clearly is taught what it's supposed to do in a situation, are all ways that some of the positive trainers do things, and some of the other trainers do things. It's just that they're not explaining it that way. It's the consistency, it's the consequences that the pet gets, it's the predictability that you give it that teaches the dog how to behave. So important things, but not dominance.
Okay, punishment if you succeed, does it teach a dog what the dog shouldn't do?
Yes, but only in context. So a punishment such as something the dog chews on that's very bitter will teach the dog not to chew on it again. Or even if you got to the state of using little punishment devices that are sticky or spray some air at the pet, might teach the pet not to go back there. But punishment by an owner to the dog goes, I don't understand the words, so I'm not really sure what you're punishing me for. Second, I can still do it when you're not around. Third, you're making me really anxious. And probably the worst of all is that word inconsistent, where sometimes you allow the dog to do the behavior and sometimes you punish it for doing the behavior and the dog gets really confused. So if you just focus on teaching what the dog should do with rewards, a good positive trainer, and if you need a little extra help, maybe a head halter. You know, I like head halters a lot.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
That can direct the dog to doing the right behavior, and then you can reward it.
And if the dog is doing what you want the dog to do, you don't have to worry about punishment secondly anyhow.
No, but you do have to remember to reward it. And that's the other thing that people don't do with their dogs or their kids or their spouses or their employees. When they're,
I like the employees part.
Well, remember, when they're doing the appropriate behavior, reinforce it. But the dog in the act. The employee, you did a good job this morning, thank you very much, and a pat on the back. They can understand the words.
Right.
The dog, you don't reward it right then and there. Clicker training's another good one. Reward the dog immediately, and it says, that was good, maybe I'll do it again.
And how do you encourage the dog to do what you want to do?
Through going to a trainer and getting advice right from the start. The dog doesn't know what sit, down, come, or walk by my side means. But you have to teach them those 3 or 4 behaviors in 3 or 4 words. So you use lure training with little tiny food rewards when it's not distracted. You use head halter training. If you just wait, your dog will drop something and you can reward it with a clicker or a treat, so that one way or another you teach the dog these words using rewards, and then when the situation comes that you need the words, the dog should respond. And if it doesn't, you can use a little extra help of that head halter or that leash that we talked about.
Is there any circumstance, Dr. Landsberg, where you think that punishment is appropriate?
I think that there's a very fine line between understanding that if you allow a dog to win, succeed is probably a better word, in a situation, back off, let it do something, then in that situation the dog has learned to do it again. And aggression is a perfect example of that. So we don't want to get into the situation in the first place, but you do have to realize that if you don't back away from a situation, if you stand up to a situation and get the right behavior, then it sounds like punishment, but it's really turning a wrong behavior into a right behavior. I don't want to imply, though, that you should confront, grab, pin, or do anything to these dogs, because you can get hurt even more and they can hurt you even more.
Veterinary behaviorist, Dr. Gary Landsberg, thank you.